Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again before a radio audience tuning in through WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com. We're glad that you all could be with us. Also, tuning in to our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Well, I think we would all agree there's been a lot of intrigue and interest in the royal family, especially over the past few years. But our next guest shows through this new book. This has really been something that's been going on for decades. We're excited to welcome Correspondent Valentine Low to our program. His new best-selling book is called Courtiers, Intrigue, Ambition, and the Power Players Behind the House of Windsor. I'm going to talk to him not only about the amazing access he's been able to give, but also the insight as well into the royal family that maybe a lot of us have not heard about before. Valentine, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, the pleasure is definitely all mine. Well, as I mentioned, the book is already a critic's pick for Amazon, already a bestseller as well. It's just officially out this week. What has it been like for you, Valentine? This is something that is really a part of your wheelhouse of covering the royal family. What has it been like for you to see not only the interest in the book, but also the response to it?
It's been very gratifying because there are an awful lot of royal books out there. What I was trying to do was write it from a different angle, a different perspective. The people who work there. It's much more rather than concentrating on as well the celebrity side of royalty. This is looking at taking a look behind the curtain and seeing what really goes on behind the scenes. And I've been so pleased with the reaction to it.
And Valentine, I had an opportunity to get an advanced copy of the book, and I totally agree with you. One thing I did not expect going into the book is the deep history you're able to give us of the royal family, and also, of course, what can be a complicated relationship, not only when it comes to the press, but also with politics. I mean, when you were writing the book, is that something that you knew you wanted to dive into, the things that sometimes don't get the attention, but are definitely a big part of how not only the royal family operates, but also is seen?
There were two things that I was really interested in. One was the nature of the relationship between the courtiers and the royals, or the principals, as they always call them, my principal, because it's both personal and professional. And sometimes, over a period of time, these people who work for these roles, they sort of become their friends. But sometimes they don't really admit that because they have to, concede that it's meant to be a professional relationship, but you're so close all of the time that you can't help but becoming a friend. And the other thing that I wanted to look at was the relationship between the British royal family and the British government, because that's not greatly explored, and that's quite a complex relationship, and I had fun unraveling that too.
Yeah. I think one of the things that you have talked about in the book that I think really comes through too is that, and this is something that people do say when it comes to talking about House of Windsor as well as the monarchy, and that is how tied it seems to be to the past and doing things what is seen as the quote-unquote old way. That was part of the criticism. You also had people who were able to talk to you say in the book as well. What was that like for you to kind of explore too, how some people do feel as though that maybe they're not keeping up with the times or seeing things in a way that the world is moving right now?
It's very interesting where the royal family positions itself. I mean, there was one quite well-known courtier from the sort of latter half of the last century who said it's not the job of the royal family to be ahead of the times. It's not even their job to be up with the times, but just one beat, one step behind is good. So you're not too far behind. You're not too old-fashioned, but you're holding on to some traditions. And when the Queen was still around, when Queen Elizabeth II was still around, she did not like the word modernisation. She accepted the royal family had to evolve, had to change, but modernisation was not a word that they used. It's kind of it, and I think it has to be said that the royal family has been guilty of not moving enough to the times. and you saw that recently with the controversy over the late Queen's Lady-in-Waiting, Lady Susan Hussey, who made some unfortunate remarks to a black charity leader in the palace, and that led to accusations of racism. Now, the point about that, I know Lady Susan Hussey, she's absolutely not a racist at all, and she didn't mean to cause offence. But I think what it reflected was that the people who work at the palace, they don't really reflect modern Britain. There aren't many black or brown faces in there, and I think they got to wise up there a bit.
Yeah. You just brought up an interesting point, and I've seen this talked about, Valentine, so I'm so glad that you brought this up. How did it make it easier for you or more difficult than you? Because these are I will call them for the sake of this conversation, the major players of the book. You have been able to cover them so often, many of them you know. Did that make it easier for you in writing a book like this, or did it make it more challenging?
Well, it's a very delicate dance because a lot of people I spoke to, I have relationships that I've built up over a period of many years. So there's a trust that goes on there. Mm-hmm. But there are other people who trust you, but their loyalty to the royal family is such that they are not going to divulge any secrets to you. However much they like you, however much they trust you, they feel they've been there for loyalty to the royal family, and they're not going to break that. But, there are some people, particularly those who have worked for Harry and Meghan, who feel that they want, to use the phrase that gets used quite often these days, they want to get their truth out there. Because Harry and Meghan, boy oh boy, they've been working hard on getting their truth out there. And the people who worked for them and I would say suffered under them, they think, well, it's time for our truth to be out there too.
Well, I will say this, Valentine, and again, and having read the book, I love the fact that it definitely seems to be a very, very fair account of looking at not only, of course, the members of the royal family and themselves and their role, but also how other people may observe them, as well as, how people might feel about them because of what they see in their perspective. What was your hope in writing the book? What did you hope readers like myself around the world would take away from it?
I hope you take away an understanding of how powerful the people are who work for the royal family, but also how they're not just puppet masters. It's a very complex relationship because in the end, a lot of the time, it's the royal family who make the big decisions at the end. These people can advise them, but they make the big decisions. So when it came to the departure of Harry and Meghan, the person who said, you're either in or you're out, you're not halfway in and halfway out, the person who made that decision, that was the Queen. And I just wanted people to have an understanding of the complexities of that relationship.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful book. I can see why so many people are snatching it up, Valentine, very rightly so. Again, everyone, Valentine Low has been our guest. Courtiers is the book, Intrigue, Ambition, and the Power Players Behind the House of Windsor. Valentine, thank you so much again for the time. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you very much, Cyrus.
Thank you. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live, and let's go make today amazing. Take care.